Hello everyone, and welcome to another video of erotica from, I guess, the archives. This is very different from the seriously sexy range, although it is also by Excite Books. It's called Ultimate Decadence. It's the second in a series for a charity idea Emily Doubly had to help raise money for Macmillan Cancer Support, and we did that by having a book called Ultimate Burlesque, which all of the stories were themed with burlesque, and she reached out to the people that had been writing for Excite Books, like you've seen, and with the theme of burlesque, of course, not knowing anything about that, I had to go and research that. So I came up with the story that I eventually wrote for Ultimate Burlesque, not Ultimate Decadence. But that book I'm trying to develop into a novel, so I'm not going to read from that. I'm going to read from the second book, Ultimate Decadence, and this book means a lot to me, like Ultimate Burlesque does, because I got the opportunity to go out and read the stories from both books, and take a load of burlesque dancers out to perform, to do really cool shows. We went all over London, yeah, and other places. It was really, really cool. And we raised a lot of money for Macmillan Cancer Support. So the second book that we did was Ultimate Decadence, with the theme of decadence. Lots of people in this book, as well as the first, Emily Doubly, who helped found Burlesque Gets Breast Cancer, Suzanne Portnoy, best-selling author, Butcher Beggar Candlestick Maker, and not the Not So Invisible Woman, great author. We've got Jeremy Edwards in there again. I say his name all the time by the sounds of it. Donna George Story, Elizabeth Caldwell, who runs the forum Letters. Karen Krasanovich is a writer. Rachel Kramer Bussell, who's a big American author. Maxim Jakubowski, who ran the very famous crime bookstore on Charing Cross Road, and then, well, he was a crime author, and he's done for years and years and years erotic fiction. He's in this. It's amazing, yeah. Who else can I tell you about? There's lots of other people that I've mentioned before. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, the lineup is great, and it was in the first book as well. So my position in this is towards the back again, but like I say, right after me is Rachel Kramer Bussell, who's a huge American author. So doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, does it? Doesn't matter where you are, as long as you come up to the plate and you rock it. Okay, my just want to say a couple of little things about the story in this. It's called Sweet Like Chocolate, because when someone says to me decadence, even though I don't have a sweet tooth, I think of chocolate for some reason. Although quite recently I've gotten back into the whole chocolate thing. I've started kind of like liking chocolate a bit more, but when I was really, really young, I didn't have a sweet tooth. So chocolate to me was the thing that seemed the most decadent, because it just wasn't really in our house because we didn't have a lot of money. Even though I was living in London at the time of writing this, I wanted to base this in Brighton, and where I am now. I'm here in sunny Brighton, and I wanted to base this in Brighton because the place that I thought most of that is like decadent of chocolate, I'd read about recently that Jordan or Katie Price had had her wedding cake done by a shop in the lanes called Chocky Wocky Doodah, who I remembered from living in Brighton 10, 15 years ago. I remember Wocky Doodah, and I thought it was really cool that she went to this like local shop to do this cake. So that kind of got me thinking, for some reason, about stories and characters, and it kind of came up with me wanting to do a messy chocolate story based in Chocky Wocky Doodah, but it's not Chocky Wocky Doodah for legal reasons. And I don't say it's Chocky Wocky Doodah, but that's what the inspiration was. So this is Sweet Like Chocolate from Ultimate Decadence. And if you go and get the book, you know, the proceeds go to cancer support. So here we go. Actually, if you go to the Excite Books website and buy the book there, more money goes to the charity. So go to excitebooks.com or excitebooks.co. Where is it? Excitebooks.com. Go to excitebooks.com, Ultimate Decadence or Ultimate Burlesque, and more money goes to Macmillan Cancer Support. Okay, Sweet Like Chocolate. I need to run some errands, love. Can you come and watch the shop? I rolled my eyes with the phone receiver between my ear and my shoulder. My mother had increasingly using her daughter at living home for free cards ever since I moved back in with her and my father. I'd been made redundant from my office and discovered that my husband was fucking the account manager of his biggest client once a month at the Travelodge in King's Cross, all in the same week. So I had retreated back to the family home on the outskirts of Brighton to regroup and figure out what the hell I was going to do with the rest of my life. Because at the time it pretty much equated to watching Sex and the City DVDs, draining bottles of Tesco Suave, and moping in my childhood room with the only release from boredom being masturbating to girl-on-girl porn on my laptop. Not that William ever shared my desire for such sapphic voyeurism. Odd, considering that it's supposed to be a man's ultimate fantasy. Do I have to, Mum? I sobbed pathetically down the phone. Why, Claire? She demanded in that dominant maternal tone. Is there something more pressing going on in your life? We both knew that there wasn't, of course. We both knew that she'd pretty much rescued me when I'd walked out of my marital home one Sunday night, tears streaming down my face with a half-packed carry-on, vowing never to go back. My mother would tell you that she was a confectioner, but when people inquire of me of her about her business and what my life is currently filled with, I tell them she owns a cake shop, because that's what it is, essentially. Granted, the online part of her venture branches out into sandwiches, rolls, sugar-based Turkish Delight type goodies and creamy vol au vents in 100 different flavours, including champagne and Summerette cerise, whatever that is, which are all designed for catering to the growing local office party market, not to mention the odd celebrity wedding. But the part of her vast sweet empire that I come across and that she is currently guilting me into aiding with is basically a cake shop. A till and known English bell above the door that rattles a Victorian shrill when someone enters. A few tables and lots of cake. There are 3 or 4 tier gâteaux sitting proudly in the window, wide and flat one-tier sponges, complete with your favourite photo of intended recipient, transferred onto sugar paper to slice into, and a whole host of indulgent cupcakes that are ideal for that office girl on the go, looking for a momentary lunchtime spot of escapism. I soon found myself standing outside the Co-op on Portslade High Street, sighing to myself and waiting for a bus to take me into town and towards the North Lanes. I puffed on the last of my pack of 10, and as I arrived at the shop, my mother seemed flustered. Before I even got the chance to take off my jacket, I got, "Heavens, I have to go. God, you took so long. Why did you wear your hair like that? What have you done to find a job today? Have you sent off those CVs? Oh, I'm so late. I can't believe the delivery didn't show up. I'm a mustache. You have to close up again." The door slammed. A waft of some sort of cheap Arabic spritz slowly dispersed, leaving the familiar aroma of stale vanilla and cocoa in the air. I looked around, sighed again, and peeled off my jacket, tossing my handbag under the counter. I glanced at my watch and looked forward to a long afternoon. It was deathly quiet. I served about 3 people and took 2 phone orders in 3 hours. The watch on my wrist slowly crept around near to 5 p.m. I read and reread that week's Grazia more times than I can remember, thus knowing far too much about 24-hour aging creams, and studied the ingredients on the side of the box of rich cheese crackers to the point where I could possibly recite them word for word. Then the bell went. I shook myself awake. A couple entered. They held hands and giggled coquettishly at one another, Jim fresh with holdalls and racket bags thrown casually over their shoulders. Her hair, wet from the communal showers, was held up by a HB pencil, and cotton training wear hung tight and casually in all of the right places. I huffed to myself at the inconvenience of their timing and looked down at the latest rumours of the Brangelina split, thinking that the idea I had of closing half an hour earlier than I should have and hitting the theme pub next door had just flown out the window with the rest of my wasted day. I submitted myself to the situation and decided to fantasize instead about the man in front of me, hoping that it would day pass faster. Dark, shaven head, goatee, the mutterings between them about the display of treats in the glass cabinet revealed their Italian origin. He was thick-set, tanned, and probably quite toned underneath the shell suit by Nike I was taking off his broad shoulders in my head. She held him close, wistful and proud, probably used to watching other women staring slack-jawed at him like some kind of temptation we specialise in on the premises. I caught her eye for a second and realised that not only was I doing just that, but I was also sucking quite unattractively on the end of a biro. I disengaged it with my teeth and it clattered on the counter. I looked down, blushing, as I heard them laugh in the corner by the door to the prep kitchen. Her demeanour suddenly changed as she straightened up like a peacock. She began to beam with confidence and subtle bravado as she hung tighter to her prize, rubbing the back of her muscled neck with her hand. Petite with small ripe plums for breasts, she hadn't bothered putting her bra back on, it seemed. Her perky nipples indented into the lettering on the chest of her training vest, and cinnamon curls flowed around them from her fringe. Dark eyes and full lips complemented her full figure, and my mind soon wandered to what they might look like naked. Perhaps, I thought, their skin would melt into one another's and their limbs would entwine together like neighbouring sweet pea bushes. I imagined their nether regions regimentally tended to like the most passionate gardeners would attend their crop. I pictured each of them plucked and shaved themselves, pruned within an inch of their lives, bald, stripped, and smooth like the halved peaches currently lined up for glazing in front of me. At least my wandering imagination wanted them to be. My mother swears that the key to all sales is visualizing your customers' every need. To put yourself in their shoes and imagine what it is they truly wish for upon visiting your establishment, which is then when you must tailor your interaction towards making a sale. It always sounds a little cutthroat to me, like Arkwright in Open All Hours. This crossed my mind as I slipped my bare feet into my flip-flops and schlepped across the floor towards them with the lunch plate I hadn't bothered taking out hours before. The sale-making interaction could wait this time, I thought. They were still happily chatting away to themselves as I passed them. She had her face buried in his neck and punched away on the keyboard of his iPhone 7. As she saw me coming towards them, her hand appeared from the front of his pants rather suspiciously. I don't think she meant me to see, especially as her head was turned away, but I did start to wonder what their game was as I placed my crockery into the large industrial washer. I mean, they weren't exactly our sort of clientele at all, and they didn't seem to know precisely what they required. Hey, maybe they were killing time, or they just got off and doing it in cake shops. Who knows? Maybe they would do it here, in this cake shop. Maybe that was their plan all along. They could, I thought, and they would let me watch and then utilise my body and appreciate my own furry lips wet with moisture, the fantastical images of a scenario yet unfolding in my own life. That scenario was quite simple. It was one that I had in my hand. It was one that I had in my hand and had brewing there ever since my private life had changed so abruptly. I desired a couple like this, to want me, to take me, to have me. I wanted to have my first ever threesome, and I couldn't have come soon enough. I took a quick second to put a hand up the front of my medium-length skirt, pull my panties to one side, and pinch my clitoris hard between my thumb and my forefinger. As I left the kitchen and entered the front of the premises again, I was dying to know if they were still feeling frisky, so I glanced their way. Nothing. To be honest, I was hoping to see even more, like her wandering hands again, but this time I had her in my imagination, peeling down his trousers and sucking him off for my viewing pleasure as I took my place nonchalantly behind the counter. I certainly wouldn't have minded. It was then that she spoke for the first time. "You have some lovely cakes." "Thanks," I replied. "My mother makes them." "Wish my mother made me cakes." "Well, it's her place, so..." I looked down, embarrassed, she purred to herself, looking around at absolutely everything on offer, before continuing the conversation. "I've no idea how you work here and not get fat." I laughed. "It's very tempting." We both nodded. The partner looked up from his mobile and snapped it shut, looking over the brim of a mirrored shades and chewing gum, registering the comment and looking me up and down for the first time. He turned to his girlfriends and raised his eyebrows. She looked back my way and said, "But with a body like yours, it would be a shame to ruin it anyway." I blushed. "Really?" she continued. "You have an amazing body." "Thanks," I said, getting redder by the minute. Like the strawberry shortcake, pulsing with baked dried fruit in large oven trays and cooling at room temperature, sliced and ready for sale, I would be lying if I said that I wasn't enjoying the sudden attention. "I agree," he said next to her, the first thing he had uttered since he had arrived. He was a man of very few words, clearly. Meanwhile, though, time was ticking, and the end of my day was fast approaching. My guests were still idly chatting about what cupcake to purchase when I rose to flip the sign in the door to read closed and turn the key in the lock to prevent others from entering. The guy commented cockily that he was now my prisoner, while I groaned audibly. His girl politely announced, "Oh, I'm sorry, we'll go. Didn't realise you were closing." "No, it's okay, I'm in no rush," I said. "You two carry on. Besides, I'm enjoying the view." My heart lurched in my mouth as I said it, cringed inside before looking their way again, hoping I hadn't offended. The couple smiled naughtily at one another and continued their whispering. "Feel free to try some cake too," I said. "On me." I sat back down and watched her break open the soft sponge of a chocolate cupcake with both hands, handing half of it to her lover. He took a large bite, as did she. They munched away, gorging on its creamy sweetness. I saw her hand hover once again over his crotch, and she laughed playfully. She rubbed the growing length between his legs with her already sticky hand, dirtying his pants, and happily continued as she looked over to me, comfortably sitting watching. She took her finger and sunk it into the thick butter icing of another one of the cakes on show, and placed it seductively into her partner's mouth. He looked towards me as he sucked it off and made her purr contentedly. He reciprocated, and I began to wonder how far this was going to go, as my insides were starting to moisten. She took another few fingers full and playfully slapped it onto his neck, making us chuckle. I hope you intend to licking that off," he complained jokingly. "Oh, yes," she replied, taking her tongue across his skin, up towards his ear, collecting every last bit. I felt a twinge down between my legs, and the urge to join in came across me. "Oh no," she announced, probably worrying at the extent that she was going through our cake display. "We've run out of icing." "Oh, we were just getting started." "Oh well." She shrugged and continued pawing at her man's neck. "I can help you there," I said, jumping to my feet and heading to the kitchen. "Brilliant," he said, clapping his hands together as I returned with a plastic container filled with butter icing. Chocolate, intended for the next morning's batch. He filled with the bottom of his shirt. "Take off your top, honey." She looked at him and then at me, incredulous. "Honestly, can you take him anywhere? You can't take him to seduce pretty cake shop girls anywhere, can you?" She slapped his wrist hard and continued, "I mean, anyone could walk past." "That was true," I laughed, putting down the container in front of them and released the blinds obscuring us from the tourists who ambled by and gawked through the window. "There you go, no excuse," he bellowed. I shrugged at her in agreement and leant against a nearby work surface. She pondered thoughtfully. "You know where this would taste good, don't you?" "Where's that?" he replied to her. "On your cock," she cried. "Come on, where is it?" Now it was his turn to look shocked, although I was sure that they were both doing it to tease each other. He glanced my way and put his hands on his hips and watched me signal him to drop his pants. With that sort of encouragement, how could he say no? I stepped a little closer and watched her crouch on her feet in front of his exposed thighs. They were massively hairy, but as I suspected, all around his cock and balls were completely waxed. This was just as well, as she soon coated the whole area and did a stick erection with the sticky brown mess. She wanted to place a row of chopped banana up the length of his shaft too, but he just threw them back at her. It soon descended into all-out anarchy, of course, and soon enough I had to politely call for a truce, as bits of fruit were getting stuck quite amusingly to the walls. She had now stripped down to just white cotton panties. I stood there, still fully clothed, but with my hand in my knickers, wondering how dirty she was expecting me to get. More to the point, how much I was about to play a part in their filthy chocolate antics. She spread a little on her bare tan chest with her fingers caressing her small titties. She moaned with delight, before taking his coated length and in her mouth and as far as she could manage. When her lips touched his abdomen and she began to gag slightly, he took a messy handful of her hair. She pulled away, catching it in her mouth, and let it spill out into her chin and cover her face as she continued gorging on her lover's cock. He smeared it into her nose and cheek, and she soon had to come up for air. "Hungry?" she offered. "Always," I said, dropping my skirt to the floor. I peeled off the soaked knickers I'd been fiddling inside while they were putting on their show. My Angora jumper followed before I joined her. She moved aside for me so that we could both come at him from different sides. Our mouths and tongues instinctively met as his sun-kissed Umbrian tool disappeared and then reappeared from each of our mouths. She took cream from her cheek and reached across to my ample bosom, slowly coating my tits to match hers. Soon both of our faces were coated in buttercream, and the thick substance soon developed into a warm, darker brown ooze as it mixed with our saliva and we passed it between one another in deep, engorged kisses. I climbed up to meet her man's chest, nuzzled on his neck and bit his lip as his girlfriend found her way down below and sucked hard on my vagina. He grabbed the back of her head and pushed it harder into me, making her snort and pant harder on my clit. "She loves that baby, do it more, make her come." That she did, all over her sticky brown face, making it creamier still. She got to her feet and we kissed, touching our sliding bodies together. He leaned in for a kiss, to taste me, I didn't doubt. His bald head bent over to eat from my chest as she soon took the prompt and went to my other side. I put an arm around each of them, feeling very dominant all of a sudden. As I was being indulged for the very first time like this, I consider it not too bad an idea to help out in the shop more often. He took a handful of sauce in his hand, slapped it between my soaked pussy lips, and rubbed it in hard, sending a lovely wave through me. He thrust globs of it inside me with his fingers, getting into all the deep folds as his girlfriend held my wrists behind me and bit harder into my nipples. He looked into my eyes as he coated his hard penis with yet more sauce and waited for her to goad him into sticking it inside me. He lifted my hips onto the surface behind me and they pulled both my legs wide apart for him to take me, to use me like some coarse human mixing bowl. I knew right then that I was going to feel great. "Oh, I have an idea," she piped up, taking a handful of the squares of hardened chocolate for cooking. "Do you have a microwave?" she asked me as her boyfriend was teasing the tip of his cock at my entrance below. "Yeah," I said, laughing at my mistake. How I got from reading the side of a cracker box to this is anyone's guess. I was naked and covered in chocolate sauce with two strangers and I still didn't know their names. "It's in the kitchen," I said. He slowly eased his cock into me and passed the gooey mess as I listened to the distinctive beeps and closing of the microwave door in the distance. A man casually and slowly fucked me, and she returned with a plastic measuring jug. "Playing nicely, you two." Your boyfriend is fucking me, I cooed. Yes, he is, she purred, stroking the small of his back as it moved towards me. He's driving his cock into my chocolate-flavoured pussy. He is indeed, my sweet little whore. Now, do you like your nipples tweaked? Oh yeah. How about that? Oh yeah, harder. Very well. But I have something nice and warm for them too. Would you like that? Oh yes, why this bastard shags me. Don't worry, he won't stop until I tell him. Now, are you ready? Yes, please give it to me. As I gave her the nod and as my sex dripped onto the slate floor, a mixture of our body fluids and rich chocolate icing, my new friend, face covered also, poured piping hot sauce onto my breast and nipples, making me call out with a shriek of agony. Delicious it was. Our pleasures and ecstasy combined. Thanks ever so much, Claire. I really appreciate it. I had to go to 3 different cash and carries for glass cherries. Can you believe it? I mean, honestly. That's okay, Mum. It was fairly quiet. Oh, okay. How come you back so late? For a split second, my mind went back to the few hours before with Silvio and Anna, in particular how we had finished together in a heaped, spent pile on the dusty floor. Oh, I got a cleaning bug and got carried away, I said with a hidden smile, thinking about the extent of the mess we had created. Thanks again. Oh, you are a good girl. Yes, I thought. Yes, I am. At least that was what Anna whispered into my ear sweetly as she brought me off with her hand on my crotch, filled deeply with her man's cock. After a quick exchange of email addresses and the promise to get to know each other soon, we hugged intimately and parted ways. Yes, I am. No problem, man. Anytime. So that's from Ultimate Decadence. Slightly longer video than I thought it was going to be, but